right, you might remember right before we went on to Christmas break, we did a little bit of talking about data. We did this Skittles statistics investigation where we looked at dot plots and we did the frequency of colors and we calculated the mean, median, mode, and range. And what I want to do is go over a little bit of that again and then take you on to learn a couple new things that will probably be on the test. So first of all, let's go over mean, median, mode, and range. So you can remember what those four things are. The mean is also known as the average. And you add all the numbers, or all the numbers in the set of the data, and divide by how many numbers there were. The median is the number, all the numbers, all the sets of data in order from least to greatest. And it is the number in the middle. If there is an even amount of data, then you have to find the mean of the two middle numbers. So if I have a data set of 10, there isn't a number directly in the middle. So I have to take the two numbers in the middle, add them together, and divide by 2 in order to find the median. The mode is the number that happens the most. There can be more than one. There can be more than one mode or no mode. Now remember, when you write mode, if there isn't one, you can't say 0 because 0 is considered a number when we're talking about data. And then the range is the largest number minus the smallest. That's the range of your data. Where does it start to where does it end? How many's in between? Largest minus the smallest. And then your data set is just a collection of numbers or information. So hopefully you remember what that means. That's our review from what we did prior to Christmas break. Now I'm going to go on and I'm going to show you what we do with some of that data. If you recall, we made a dot plot or a line plot, and a dot plot is one that has numbers on both sides, and you put a dot for however many that happens. And a line plot looks like a number line with data on it. So we're going to go over a little bit of that. But first, I want to talk about the shape of data. and it's also called distributions. How is that data distributed out? What does it look like? And that's all that means. So some new vocabulary words. Cluster. A cluster is data that are grouped closely together. A gap is numbers with no data value. Again, I'll show you examples of what each of these mean. The peak of the data is basically the mode. It's the most frequently occurring values. And then symmetry is the left side of the distribution looks like the right side. And then one more word we're going to talk about is outlier. And an outlier is a rare occurrence of a value. That may skew the mean or median. Basically, all that means is that you have a set of data and it lies in a specific spot. An outlier just means it's far away from where the other data is. You can see it when you plot it on a line graph or a histogram or a line plot. It's far away from where the central part of the data is at. Okay, so I'm going to show you an example of a graph, and we're going to label all the parts of that graph. Okay, so this graph is going to be called number of states visited. And so we're going to say someone took a poll, or they did a question, and they had to talk about, or they asked, how many states have you been to? Okay. And they asked $19 people, and 19 people gave their feedback. Okay, so I'm going to make a graph that shows the amount of states. So the lowest number that someone went to was 10, and the highest number that someone visited was 19. So I'm going to fill my chart in between 10 and 19. So 10 states, 11 states, 12 states, 13 states, 14 states, 15 states, 16 states, 17 states, and 18 states. And then 19. It's not the greatest looking graph, but that's okay. You'll get the idea. Okay, 3 people went to 10 states. 5 people went to 11 states. 6 people went to 12 states. 3 people went to 13 states. 1 person went to 14 states. And 1 person went to 19 states. So if we count up all the dots, I did say we interviewed 19 people. So let's double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. All right, all 19 people are represented on this chart. Now I'm going to show you using different colors how to label or how to look at the data distribution, the shape of the data. What does it look like? So the distribution is just how we describe what the numbers are. What does it look like? So I have a cluster here, and my cluster is going to be this set of data. Most of the data lies here between 10 and 14. This is my cluster. I have a gap. I have a gap between 15 and 18 because there's no data there. My peak is here with 12. You can see it is the largest occurring number, or the one that occurs the most. It has the most dots. This graph is not symmetrical because if it were symmetrical, it would look the same on both sides. I will show you later one that is symmetrical. And I do have an outlier. Like I said, the cluster is here. Most of the data you can see in between here. So my outlier is this little guy all the way out here, this number 19. It's kind of far away from the rest of the data. When you talk about data and it asks you describe it or tell about it, what can you see? Just look at it and what can you tell? You can say the most number of states visited was 12. The least number of states visited was 10. Actually, that's incorrect. The least visited amount of states was 10. That's right. Sorry. You can also say 1 person visited 14. You can say 1 person visited 12. Six people visited 12 states. 5 people visited 11 states. 3 people visited 10 and 13 states. No one visited between 15 and 18 states. Nobody visited less than 10 because we don't have any data here. Nobody visited more than 19 because we don't have any data here. So those are all ways that you can talk about the data or the graph. Okay. I know something that you are going to see on the state test because it was on there, and I know there were questions. It was on there last year, and there were questions in the practice test about it. Is called a box plot or a box and whisker plot. And again, it is just a way of plotting data. And I'm going to first start with an example and then show you what it looks like. No, we'll start with the example. Sorry. Okay. Our friend Joe was selling cookies, and I'm going to have a list of how many cookies he sold each month. So our data is going to be how many cookies Joe sold each month. And I'm going to have a list of data. Here's our data set. 1 month he sold 51 cookies. Next 17, then 25, 39, 7, not a good month, 49, 62, 41, 20, 6, ooh, another low month, 43, and lastly 13. So how many pieces are in our data set? That just means let's count up the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's a full year. So this is a year, or 12 sets of data, or not 12 sets of data, 12 points in our data set of the amount of cookies Joe sold every month for a year. A box and whisker plot is just a 5-number summary that describes this data set. So I'm going to show you how we get a 5-number summary. All right. The first thing we do in our 5-number summary is the median. The second thing we do is find the lowest. The third thing we do is find the highest. The fourth thing we do is find the lower quartile. Then we find the upper quartile. And that is our 5-number summary. And I'm going to explain to you what each of those mean. So the first thing we're going to do is label or put our data in order from least to greatest. So I know he had a couple bad months, and the lowest here is 6. So I'm going to start with 6. I'm going to cross it off so I know I've used it. Then 7. After 7 is 13, 17, 20, 25, 39, 41, 43, 49, 51, and 62. I'm just going to make sure I have all I know they're all crossed off here, but I just want to make sure down here that I still have 12 pieces of data because that's what I started with. 12. Okay. Now that they are in order from least to greatest, it makes us easier to find the rest of these. So the median, if you recall, is the number that happens in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 12 even sets of data, so I'm going to have to find the number in the middle of that data. So I'm going to look for number 6 and number 7. And these two are the numbers that are in the middle. And in order to find the middle, the median, I'm going to find the average of these two. So 25 plus 39 is 64. And 64 divided by the 2, because there's two sets of data, is 32. So my median is 32. I take the 2 in the middle, I add them together, divide by 2, and I get the median, or the average. It's actually the mean of the two. The lowest is 6. The highest is 62. And now I'm going to show you what first quartile, or what lower quartile and upper quartile means. The lower quartile is the median of the first half of the data. So the first half of the data is 6. This pen doesn't work. First half of the data is 6 to 25. So if I look at the first part of the data, I'm looking for the median. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, I have an even set of data, so I'm going to take the 2 in the middle. So 6 and 7, 20 and 25, 13 and 17. I'm going to find the median, or mean, because I don't have a middle number. 13 plus 17 is 30. 30 divided by 2 is 15. So the median of the first half of the data is 15. The upper quartile is just the median of the second half of the data. And again, we have an even amount of data, so I'm going to have to find the mean or average. Okay, so here's the upper part. The 2 in the middle are 43 and 49. Added together is 92. 92 divided by 2 is 46. So the upper quartile is 46. Now that I have my 5 summary, I'm going to make a box and whisker plot. And how I do that is I'm going to take these numbers and I'm going to make something that looks, well, I'll show you. Alright, first we start with a number line that goes from 6 to 62. Now, if I go from 6 to 62, that's going to be a really, really long number line. So instead, I'm going to count by, I don't know, what goes into 60 and 62? 2. I can do 2. All right. So we'll start here with 6. 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34. I feel like I'm going to run out of room already. 36, 38, 40. Ooh, I'm going to have to move this. 42, 44, 46, 48, 50, 52, 54, 56, 60, 62. That was close. I guess I could have gone by 3s and just had 63 be my last number. That's fine. It'll fit. Okay, so now I have my number line. I put a dot on the above the lowest and above the highest. A dot above the lowest, a dot above the highest. Then I'm going to take the median and I'm going to put a line where the median is. So here's 32. I'm going to make a line. I find my lower quartile, which is 15, and I'm going to go right here in between 14 and 16. I'm going to put a tiny little dot. It's going to later turn into a line. And then I'm going to find my upper quartile, which is 46. I'm going to put another tiny little dot, which will turn into a line. All right, the whiskers are lines, and the box is where the middle set of the data is. So I go from the lowest to the first quartile, and I draw a line. And I go from the greatest to the upper quartile, and I draw a line. Now that those two are connected, I'm going to make a line here and a line here. And I'm going to connect these two lines with this to make a box. It's not the prettiest of drawings. Look at how well I did it last year. It's so pretty. Doesn't look like that this year, but that's okay. This is my lowest. This is my lower quartile. This is my median. This is my upper. And this is my highest. What this is telling you is that the majority of the data is in this box. We're not going to do anything about averages. We just know that a majority of the data is between here. And we can look at our numbers and see that between 15 and 46 is where the majority of our data is. Look at the most numbers are in here. Then we have these other guys over here. So we could say Carl sold between 15 and 46 per month. Or we could say the median amount that he sold was 32 a month. We could say the highest month he had was 62. The lowest month he had was 6. It's just all a way to describe where the data lies. And you can see this is the box, and these are the whiskers. That's why they call it box and whisker plot. You need to know lower and upper quartile. And it's not that difficult once you know the 5-number summary. It's easier, like I said, with an odd set of data. And you will be seeing an odd set of data in just a moment, when I have you draw your own. Okay. To do. Find the 5-number summary and draw a box plot, also known as box and whisker, for the data set. All right. I'm going to give you some car speed data. We're going to say someone built a car and they tested how fast the car went. Here are the numbers that they got. Your job now is to find the 5-number summary, order them from least to greatest, draw the number line, and make the box and whisker plot. Good luck, and we will talk about it.